Justin.
He don't get loud like that.
Used to that.
He gets high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin, that's not true.
There you go. That's much better. Are we peaking or are we good, B? All right.
Let me know. Let me know when you do intro. It's going? Give me a hand when you're...
Chair. Yeah. Carefully.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Retireholics. We are coming at you from the Wealth at Work Conference in National Harbor, Maryland. Yeah. Right, Roby?
Day two. Sure.
I want to take this moment to thank Wealth at Work for once again coming through on our rider. We'll be the judge of that, okay?
Yeah. Oh, they came through. They delivered.
This was a celebrity rider that we put together for the conference, again, demanding that if we're going to come and bless you with our presence, we require a few certain things. 2 dozen Twinkies, check?
Check.
3 whoopee cushions,
Check.
Check.
24 Uncrustables?
No.
Check.
I was planning to
No,
feed my
that's
kids
right.
with
Whoa.
that. I haven't eaten
Okay.
a thing. That's all I eat.
Coloring books with crayons.
Check. Got
Check.
it.
Trying to William Hackler.
Negative.
No.
Whoa, Wealth at
Whoa.
Work. Not so good with the batting average.
too
Mini
negatives.
basketball hoop.
Got it. Yep.
Got it. Extra strength Tums.
Yep.
I could use one of those. 4 beach balls.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 lava lamps.
One
They got
lava lamp.
Okay, I'll give him a pass. A chocolate fountain with assorted fruit for dipping.
No.
Not here. Ukulele.
Yep. Check.
Disposable cameras.
Yep.
Check.
2 goldfish in a bowl.
That, I was planning to eat those.
I don't see those anywhere. Remote control car.
Got it.
Yes. Mike and Ike's.
Yep.
Got
Got
it.
it.
Chewy Spree.
Yep. Got him.
Charleston Chews.
Nope. Oh.
Flashlight and first aid kit.
Yes. Check.
Well, you need that. And an assortment of temporary tattoos.
Yeah, they
Yes.
delivered
Which
all
we
that.
still
We
stuff.
will
Some
gladly
on.
give to our guests for free. We'll even apply them for you.
nice.
So
I think I'm
what's-
going to make this permanent.
I think you should.
So what's the grade? Are we coming back next year, or have they failed us with our rider? We'll leave that to
It
be
might have been
decided.
Amazon that failed us because that's where he gets all his shit.
All right. Well, I would like to say thanks for having us, but step up your fucking game a little bit when it comes to the rider. We got a beer of the episode, sort of, kinda. I got a buddy here in Washington, District of Columbia, and he pulled these out of his little cellar and handed them to me. So thank you to you, Greg. You know who you are.
Thanks, Greg,
And boys,
whoever you
thanks,
are.
Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
They're an assortment of kind of local breweries. So we got some
Well, we were
different-
jerks, though. We all have one from your buddy, and then we gave our guests.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
here,
guests
thanks.
are
This looks
the-
good.
Cheers.
looks good. Cheers.
Cheers.
You want an actual one?
Oh, this is good.
You sure?
Yeah.
Huh?
Thank you.
All right, let's dive right into headlines, shall we? Headlines, Brandon.
I love not knowing what we're talking about.
Fun.
Boom.
good.
All right.
Papi
Are you
chulo.
ready, everybody? For the boringest headlines ever in the history of Retireholics. These are 3 that will knock you over.
Tell me this
The
cola.
tax filing deadline extension in Cali is pushed out another month. Does this include Internal Revenue Service 5500s, Chad?
I don't know the answer to that yet.
I know,
Well,
nobody does, right?
We're acting
maybe.
as it is.
We think so.
We're getting guidance that yes, it's going to allow the 5,500 to be pushed out. Although they released that on
How about,
the
how about that notice going
14th,
out yesterday?
The 15th. Yeah.
So, for you lazy plan sponsors out there that didn't get your shit in on time, you might have an extra
Lucked
30
out.
days.
Hey,
Maybe.
kudos to the advisors that called yesterday though and asked that question and forced me to research it. It just tells you there's a lot of plans out there that haven't filed yet.
For third-party
Dan, you guys dealing
administrators
with
in
this crap too?
California,
Ours
you may
are
not,
done.
you may want to put the champagne
Lucky.
down because the filing deadline has not come and gone. It's 30 days out, and you still got some work to do to help those late clients.
Wait,
Then-
hold on. He power moved it on us. He
He
said
did,
his
power
are all
moved.
done.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, Are they done correctly? We'll find out. Okay, contribution limits. It looks, a 401k Specialist Mag has a really exciting article on the new proposed contribution limits for 2024. And it looks like a $500 boost to the deferral.
What?
Massive.
So
My
I told you
goodness.
these were shocking. And today, October 17th, is, drum roll please, National Third Party Administrator Day. Created by John Hancock.
Drink to that.
Now endorsed by John Hancock's competitors. I got a lovely email from Fidelity today wishing me a happy Third Party Administrator Day.
Are you, so since we are a third-party administrator and we have employees who are really working, unlike us who are working right now, are you like setting them gifts or lunch or doing anything for them?
I bought them all lunch for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was cheesy. I bought them 2 lunches each week coming up to the deadline.
I know a bunch are taking time off.
What a slumlord I am. Here, have a Subway sandwich on me. Now get back to work. No, I think that's cool to have National Third Party Administrator Day. And for everyone out there, it falls on the day after the deadline.
Right.
I wonder, should it be
So
pushed
is it
in
now? Is it
Alex
going to
in
be November?
You have to celebrate it twice.
Just in,
Yeah,
there you
there you
go,
go.
just in
Darn.
California. And then lastly, I want to add a little juice, a little excitement to the headlines, okay? Because those are 3 boring 401k headlines.
I don't know. Those are kind of cool.
Let's go outside
'Cause they're
401k.
simple.
Taylor Swift. This is breaking news, by the way.
Okay.
Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have broken up.
What?
Apparently, she
Didn't
caught
see that
him
coming.
cheating. And in secondary news,
Is it
Taylor
actually
Swift
cheating?
has purchased the Kansas City Chiefs, and Travis Kelce has been let go. You heard it here first.
And then she traded
the album
Patrick
dropping?
Mahomes to the Raiders.
I don't know. With that, let me hand it over to my buddy Silent J, and you can introduce our guest.
All right. This man is about to go down as one of Mark's favorite guests of all time. He's a self-proclaimed financial wellness nerd with a bit of an entrepreneur spirit. He's been a part of more than a dozen small businesses, and throughout these years, he's come to realize that in business, as well as many other areas of life, size does not matter. Thank God.
Thank you.
Don't judge his company by their terrible swag game, i.e. the socks,
Come on, those are great.
or that they hire goons, because they're here doing some great things. With twice the amount of plans as JD previously stated, he's here to set the record straight that they're here to stay. The co-founder at 401 Go, Mr. Dan Beck.
Is he only the co-founder?
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Thanks for being here.
Of course.
And you are one
Delighted
of those
to be here.
stories that I love where I get drunk on a Thursday night, I try to accumulate a bunch of data on a company, and I start spitting non-truths to everyone in the industry. And you politely wrote me a few days following saying, you were close on some of your numbers, but you had a little like humble brag. You were like, but we're not at 1,000 plans. We're north of 2,000 plans, so check yourself. You didn't
Right.
say that. I know. So that, to me, is a wonderful opportunity to invite someone on the show and talk about it. I think if you remember, though, I did give you guys props. Towards the end, I said, we've been in business for almost 50 years. We've got just north of 1,000 plans. You've been in business for like 6.
It's because your sales guys are doing this instead of actually doing our jobs.
So I can't talk that much shit when it takes me 50 years to get half the plans you have. So I think we should try to learn some things from you today. Do us a favor. For people out there that don't know, set us up a little bit for 401 Go. I think like 6 years when you guys started.
Yep.
We've said 2,000 plans. How many employees? Do you care to share assets? Like, just give everyone a feel for if they don't know what it is.
Before you say anything, do you know the rules of the show?
I do.
Oh, don't give him the rules.
I do. I'm
making
really excited
sure.
to have this sake, so
Okay.
Like,
we'll
start
see if I
with, how
break
many
them.
employees are you guys at right now?
We're about 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shit.
So I mean, we more than doubled since the start of the year, and we're definitely on.
You doubled in terms of staff size.
staff and
in
even plans.
2023.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we should find out like where those are coming from. We'll get that.
From us, probably.
You had
Just
2
taking
million
over.
in seed funding.
Yeah, we're.
Is that correct?
In total, we're about 6 million.
Okay, now
so,
you're at 6 million.
Yeah, so we had about 2.5 in seed, and then we picked up another, 3.5 just recently,
And-
in safe agreements.
Recently, and this
How many Lambos do you
because
have?
We don't talk about those.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
you've
Those
seen this growth,
Heard it.
and you need more money to kind of continue to fuel it.
Yeah, because we're focused on small businesses, you have to get to a certain size before you have, we're leveraging economies of scale. We're using mostly technology to make that happen. But then also we do have to be a certain size just to kind of cover basic
You
overhead.
need people to do certain things. I'm going to ask you about the technology and kind of the scalability and the profit in a little bit. Give us a sense for, are these startup plans? Are these $500,000, $1 million, like biggest client, smallest client, and what's the median look like?
Yeah, so our biggest clients are like 600-700 employees. We have a few of those. And then smallest is we do a lot of solo Ks.
Solo Ks.
Yeah. So average headcount is around 22.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
definitely
bigger than I thought. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not super small. I mean,
That's
it's
where I
small.
would have expected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of it is
interest space.
our primary distribution is really through financial advisors. So about 70% of our plans are through financial advisors. And so because of that, we end up with really whatever they bring to us. So we actually have quite a few, like a lot of those first plans were conversions. So we
Takeover conversions.
Yep.
70, I would not have guessed that. So that's a
Neither
good
would
place
I,
to stop.
no.
I would have thought your growth was fueled by your strategic partners, payroll, group
Well,
health people.
Let's ask that question. I get it. 70% of plans probably have an advisor on them coming through the channels, but are they coming from payroll and happen to have an advisor relationship?
Payroll for us is still kind of new. So we do have quite a few payroll partners, but they're it's been really financial advisors. So from day one, we started working with financial advisors because we wanted to build a platform that still kept the advisor kind of centered. And the reason why is we felt we'd have better outcomes than if you just went like a pure tech play.
You're preaching the choir
Yep.
with us. So, but of those 2,000, give or take, 70% of them have an advisor on the plan.
I mean, if it was up to us, 100% would. But unfortunately, some of these, they had, like we see some of the time, they're with another record keeper and there was a financial advisor that they never met. Right. So when they come over, they're just like, that's not going to happen.
And I wouldn't blame you on solo Ks. I don't think they need to be sitting on a lot of those solo Ks and stuff. But is that a...
No.
Can I say that? I mean,
You
I
can
can
say
say
that.
that. I can say that.
It seems like you
okay,
should
well,
do
that's
it.
new for me. I didn't know that.
I would have guessed that 70% of plans have an advisor. I would not have guessed that would have been your number one referral source.
Yeah. In a way, I feel like we could grow a lot quicker with payroll, but it's also, some of our competitors, that's where they focused. And so for us, like we view this, the financial advisor space as kind of like our opportunity, really. And then also we built something that works with them, and the way that we can layer in their services and what they do, their fund lineups, makes it so that our platform is just a better fit than some of the other fintechs.
It's a great user group to have. I'm sure they're going to teach you about a lot of things they want or don't want or that and that, but you do lose a little bit of control too. I think if I would compare you to Guideline and Human Interest, and I do at times, they clearly came to market with a different strategy. That's why we kind of labeled you that way. But we're going to have you swap out here halfway through the show, and we're going to bring in Ted, who's a new hire for you guys. My understanding is his specialty is payroll stuff, right?
Well, you're trusting a new hire to just jump on. All right.
So it sounds to me like you are opening up those channels now and see it as a viable way to bring in new business.
Ted, when he was at Paychex, most of the people he worked with were financial advisors. So it was really during his tenure at Human Interest that he kind of developed the payroll side of things. So the good thing is he sees both of it. So
he was part of their growth, so he'll be part. We'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, let's talk about your product types real quickly. I saw there's a Go Starter, there's a Go Plus, and there's a Go Premier. Can you help me understand? For everyone out there, the Go Starter is just $9 per participant per month, no asset-based charge. The Go Plus is that same $9, a $29 monthly fee, so $350 approximately per year, and a little 30 bips on top.
What's that?
I don't know if you've ever...
that definitely is.
The Go
basis
Premier, I'll
points.
drink for that. The Go Premier is $9, it's the 29, and then 100 basis points, the 1% on top.
That one's iffy, right?
Help me understand the difference between those products a little bit, and then how does that break down for your 2,000 in terms of percentages.
Yeah.
Well, and Solo, did you say the Solo K product in
Oh,
that
sorry.
one?
Yeah, and then the Solo K is 200 the first year and 150
Yeah.
second year. Cheap, cheap, cheap.
Yep.
This ain't me.
There was
So
a
I'll
liquor
be- yeah,
store
break
there.
us- you can have
So,
the
so
Solo
the
liquor
Premier,
control.
that's really the product that we kind of reserve for when we have a financial advisor attached to the plan.
Oh, okay.
And the nice thing is we actually cut our basis points down to 10 when we have a financial advisor. That way, if they want to go the assets under management route, they can. We find a lot of times, because we don't have startup fees and some of those other fees oftentimes associated with setting up a 401k, the advisor can now
Hard
charge
bill
something.
them instead
Yeah,
of
and so
basis
it
points.
allows them to, and it doesn't take several weeks to set up a plan. They can do it in literally minutes without talking to anyone on our team. And so for them, they can go down market and set up those plans without a lot of fuss, and then also they can monetize it.
Sake is gross. So
Note
did
to
I
self.
get that wrong? I said 100 basis points on the Premier. You just said you ratcheted it down to 10.
Yes.
Oh, am I getting something wrong here? Or?
No, you're spot on. So we charge 30 basis points when there's no financial advisor.
Right.
One of the reasons we did that was to kind of help create some parity, so that if there is a financial advisor, there's not an incentive for them to just go directly to us. We want them to keep that advisor.
Right. 30
So-
without, 100 with,
10 with.
and the 100 does not include
30
their comp.
without. I don't know where the 100's coming from. It's 30 without.
where's the 100 coming from?
10
There's
with.
no 100. That's what I was discussing though.
10.
Okay.
It's 10. So
My
the
bad, that's
value
good
of the
to know.
advisor in that calculation is 20 basis points. Like the work that you would do when there's no advisor
Well,
involved
that's
is
okay.
just
Fair enough. That's a bit of a stretch.
that's
but
the
yeah.
difference in cost.
All right. Cool. I think that's people need to understand that, so that's good.
Well, and then the starter and the go, those are just really, like for the starter, we want to get the barrier as low as possible to get employers to offer this. Because obviously, especially with state mandates, we'd prefer they do that. I think everyone would prefer they do that. There's a lot more benefits to the 401k.
I'm assuming the starter is like a mandate on my safe harbor.
So
per payroll period or thing, or no?
It has to be safe harbor, has to be startup. So there are some limits to it.
Just fine. I get that.
Yeah.
It's super cheap. So.
Yeah, and then with the payroll side of things, we don't. So we have kind of like a concierge service. So if you're paying for those higher packages with a base fee, if we don't have an integration, or some of the time if the integration with the payroll provider is only 180, then this allows us to make it 360, so the employer doesn't have to worry about the ongoing administration. And really that actually saves us a lot of money, because we found that if you're pushing those notices onto the employer and saying, hey, you need to go and update this deferral election in the payroll system, because that's probably the one that is the hardest to push to some of these payroll providers. If we rely on the employer to do that, mistakes happen, and then it's,
Down the
you gotta
line,
fix it.
man hours.
we're
and-
spending time fixing it. The employer's not happy, and so for us, it's like, hey, let's just take a few minutes,
I want to
log
ask
in
you
and do
about
that for them.
I want to.
I love
Thank you.
that.
Thank
Love that.
I want to ask you about that. So, if I do loose math like I did before on your company, I don't know, your revenues are 2.5 million or something.
Not
at this
quite that
point?
high.
Not
It's about-
quite.
yeah,
but
about
okay,
two.
but
Yeah.
there. And you're at 50 employees. You're saying so. I mean, you're not profitable yet. If I do the math, you're making like 1,250 bucks per client or something like
Yep.
that. Okay.
Yep.
Here's the old school guy. Okay. Been in this business a long time. Father started in the 70s. You're doing compliance, administration, testing, 5500 prep, and you're going to use this tech to do it. Which is what I want to learn about,
Yeah.
genuinely.
Yeah.
And you doing record keeping, which word on the street is you built this up yourselves. You're not.
Yeah.
You didn't outsource that to
Yep.
anyone. You literally coded it and built your own thing. When I hear just over $1,000 per client, I say, that's impossible. That you can't. How will you ever get to profitability?
Yeah.
Knowing what I know of servicing 1,000 of my own clients. Now, I service them with people. I use antiquated software where people pull levers and push buttons to run an ADP test to prep.
Yep.
Oh, yep. You are doing it different. Show me the light. How the fuck are you doing this? Payroll integration, get it. You're telling me your little developers just coded all this stuff and it's just pumping through an actual deferral percentage test and through an actual contribution. I don't even know what those things stand for anymore. And
You're on
top-heavy
it.
testing and and qualified non-elected contributions or non-elected.
What about cross-tested profit sharing allocations and other things, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm asking you.
Yeah.
So you've cracked this code.
I wish I could
Pun
say
intended.
I knew a lot more about it, but so my brother's actually one of the co-founders. He's the CTO.
Bing, bing, bing,
there it
bing.
is. Oh, there we
You
go.
finally
there
got
we
to
go.
try it.
The chief technology officer.
You like sake?
Warm.
It's better warm. That's not too bad.
It is.
I don't like it.
Oh, isn't it? So
I'm not a fan.
Yeah. So we spent about 2 years like looking at the industry. We looked at all the different platforms out there, technology, evaluated competitors. He read the Internal Revenue Service code.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time
Who
just
doesn't?
researching it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, in his spare time. And so we did all that and decided, hey, there's an opportunity here, but obviously we needed some more expertise. So we started consulting with individuals in the industry, found somebody that was he was at Transamerica on the administrator side
Yeah.
of things for his entire career.
Someone who could kind of show you everything.
Yep.
Because
Brought
it's
him on and-
complicated.
It is.
You
It's
pull
messy.
on that thread and it
Yeah.
keeps pulling,
Yeah.
right? Like,
But we kind of had the opportunity of not really knowing a lot about the industry. And so
Get
I feel
that.
like in a lot of ways, if you're in the industry, you kind of know, hey, to do this, it's steps 1 through 10. And we
You
didn't
could
know
start
that.
fresh.
Yeah, so it's kind of like we just went step 1, 5, 8, 9, 10. So we're able to just kind of completely rethink the way that it's done. So like all the non-discrimination testing, like a lot of that, it's an algorithm that does it for
it's not
us.
rocket science.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're working with a government entity, like everything is very rule-based. Everything is, there's numbers.
And you mean that in a good way. That so,
But
so you
there's-
can,
Yeah, so it makes it real easy to
gray area.
automate. There's no reason why, because I imagine for those who are doing it manually, you're using spreadsheets, you're using tools. So really,
Software,
it's,
but yeah.
software, and so it's you have individuals that are inputting that data. We're just kind of skipping that step.
And
Now-
go ahead, Jay.
Let me just state, I understand that and agree with the average plan that has guardrails on it. That might be the case. But you have a lot of businesses that are sole proprietorships, and you got to get a net Schedule C, and then they want to do calculations of what profit sharing might look, and there's back and forth there.
The
Yeah.
That's
nuances.
not black and white.
The new comparability profit sharing, we're not we get help on doing that, but the other profit sharing stuff is
But
pretty
how
basic.
many of your clients have related entities? And now you're looking
lot,
at
actually.
and
Yeah.
attribution rules, and that stuff's not black and white. There's
Yeah.
a lot of determination that needs to be done in that kind of work. And in the micro space, those are a lot of the businesses that have overlap.
Yeah.
How are you guys addressing that in the onboarding process?
So we can handle different groups, and a lot of times this is especially true when we take on a client that's like a franchise, and they've got maybe 4 or 5, let's say Wendy's restaurants, and they've got a bunch of employees, but they'll oftentimes set up payroll through different bank accounts for these different entities, and so obviously they all need to be covered, and we can manage that. So each group kind of has like their own login, but we can put
Divisional
them.
reporting,
Yeah,
right.
so we can structure it. We've had to go through these complexities, and again, this is one of the advantages to working with advisors from the get-go is the stuff they do is messy,
Yeah.
and so the stuff they brought us was messy, and we had to build a platform that could accommodate all that. Most of our plans were takeovers, so it's easy to build something where I think Guideline, they're probably the only other ones that actually built a record-keeping platform fairly early on. And because of that, but they had if it doesn't fit within their box, they don't do it. And so we had to build a box that could really fit anything. We don't, the only thing that we don't do are in-plan distributions. Yeah. So that's about it. Like anything else, like we've never had a plan where we say, hey, we can't take that.
When you
Literally
write,
my next question.
yeah, well, I thought you would have, and I thought I would have been okay with that.
And I
cash balance?
smirked,
Do you do
and I
that?
have to argue. I love our advisor partners, but I've never met a single one that in the onboarding phase has the understanding of this space to have a consultation about related entities or
Yeah.
common ownership. So when you said earlier you can onboard a plan in 15 minutes, I started giving a thumbs down. Like that to me is diminishing the value that I think we all need to be offering clients, which is to be that consultant and be that resource. And if the advisor, in my opinion, is not capable, nor should they have that skill set, are you guys spending time having those conversations with clients as they're onboarding, or is it all tech-based?
So when you look at a lot of the way you design a plan, the way I think about it is there's like 50 different variables, and oftentimes when you're working with advisors, they want to push all 50 of those buttons because they think they can add value that way.
Yeah.
But to the business owner, when you look at it, most of those are related to administration. If administration is automated, then suddenly you can focus on what really matters to the business owner. And there's like 4 or 5, like eligibility.
Eligibility, entry dates.
Exactly.
Will you have a match or not have a match?
And
We
so,
call it the 5 W's. We're with you, but that's
and so during that setup process, we've got those 5 W's. But then if somebody needs to, there's almost like a super user menu, if you will, where you can get it. So we're making a lot of assumptions to kind of help them along the way. But if they need to get in there and dial something in, maybe change the, instead of 18, it's now 21 in order to participate,
I guess
they can do that.
I have to, you skated right past that question though, which was not about the provisions of the plan, it was about the consultation of related entities.
Yeah.
Things along
Very
those lines.
focused
are you
on
asking
that.
that question in the
Very
onboarding,
focused.
and
We
then is
do.
someone reaching out to help
We
them?
do, and so there are definitely like exception handling. So if there's an existing plan,
Exception
we
handling.
have to obviously review that plan document. We need to make sure that it lines up. So in those instances, we have manual review. So we'll ask them upload the documents so that we can start to review things. But for a startup plan that doesn't have any of those complications, which I'd say that's a good more than half of them.
Yeah.
That's my fear though. Let me ask to these guys that are out there in the
so
field.
nerdy today. Okay.
Well,
so-
it's because I have an issue
like a
with
W.
this. Of the plans you will bring on,
Yeah.
how many understand that they have an issue with a related entity when they actually have a related entity?
Well, we don't use that
Fucking
term,
related
that's
entity.
why. And see, this is, so my background's as a small business owner. So when they start talking like related entities or profit sharing in the 401k world is completely different than the way an owner views profit sharing. It
Term
has
number.
nothing
Sure.
to do with profit.
Yeah,
like
nothing
whether
at
I'm
all.
profitable or
Just
not,
an
I've got to
employer
pay
contribution.
it. Exactly.
Shouldn't even be called profit
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah.
So
But I mean, sorry, go ahead, keep going.
No, so we decided, hey, let's redefine this and what that means. And so we just say, hey, do you have other businesses you're involved in?
That you have
And then
ownership
they-
in. Same
yeah,
question
and
we
then
ask.
they
Exactly
So,
verbatim.
so we kind of
Chad,
approach it the same way.
Those are going to be outliers. When you look
But-
2,000 clients, you don't have a lot of those that have.
I know, I
related
agree. In the
entities.
small business space, you find a
It's
lot. I
like
mean, at one
half,
point, I
JD.
had like 5 different businesses.
Okay.
So it is.
It's a lot, and kudos to you all for asking the question. What I find in many of the folks that say we can onboard a plan in 15 minutes is that they don't ask the question and then they play we're just the administrator. You didn't
Well,
tell us
here,
that,
I'll
so we
give
don't
you
have
an
to
old
worry
school
about it.
negative viewpoint on the
That
15.
can happen in our process too, though.
If they don't tell us about it, we ask the question.
Yeah.
the information.
Let me give
And
you
then
a
hold
negative
on, my
the
one last
15
point real
minutes
quick would be
earlier.
around upfront costs. You all don't have any, and you're assigning time and energy and effort to supporting. Kudos. But shit, back to that profitability side. If the employees are spending that kind of time and effort, you got to be charging for that somewhere in the model.
We also have for us, 401k is the gateway drug. For a lot of these employees, this is their first time saving for retirement. So when you're focused on the small business space, these are individuals that are hourly, they're lower wage, entry level, they're
Right.
younger.
Yes.
So they've never saved. And so this is their first time doing that. And with employee turnover at like 47%, they're with an employer for maybe 2 years and then they leave. So what happens after they leave? We keep them. And so that's one of the ways that we're playing the long game. We're playing
I
the
thought
long
you were
game.
about to drop something on.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you later, which is, are you going to try to get revenue somewhere else? Because I definitely, like, if I want to get really opinionated here, I definitely feel like at $1,200 per client, if you came to me wanting millions of dollars, I would be like,
You
need
gotta
to
have
show
200,000
me
clients.
where are you going to turn a profit?
Yeah.
And based on what I'm hearing right now, with 2,050 employees, those metrics don't work either, which is fine because it sounds like for now this is an investment for the future.
Yeah.
And so at some point you need to have 5,000, 10,000 clients and maybe only 75 employees, or I'm making up numbers here. But where you're at right now, you're overloaded with staff, which to me is expense because that's payroll.
But I like
The
that.
payroll's got to be more
Service.
than revenue you're making.
Yeah.
And so I just don't. And I'm an old school, not creative, not very entrepreneurial guy. I just don't see the clear path unless you came to me and said, "Well, JD, at a certain point, we're gonna sell them wellness, or we're gonna sell them something
the
else,
assets,
or,
like you just mentioned.
or this or
Yeah,
that,
the individual
or,
retirement accounts.
I mean, I know you've on your LinkedIn profile it says exited. Help the dumb surfer understand that. That means you sold those
Sold the
companies,
business,
right?
yeah.
So are you gonna sell this fucker in another 3 years? Is that the plan? Like, so maybe you don't even
Don't
care
tell
if you
them
get.
that, or I'm buying it from
Maybe you don't care if you get to profitability. You just need to get to some type of valuation. Maybe when markets change, you get better and you sell. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and the
Lots of
prior
tech.
businesses, those were bootstrapped, so self-funded, and I had to be profitable. I didn't have deep pockets. I wasn't relying on venture capital. So this is different. Here the focus is on growth, reaching a certain scale. And for us, for me at least, there's a bigger vision. Like this is a passion project for me. It's not just to make a bunch of money. If I wanted to, I could have retired with some of those previous exits. I took all that money and I plowed it in here. So it's almost like it's all in. It's all or nothing. And so for us, you mentioned financial wellness. Like that's built into the product. So we're trying to make something that's sticky. We're trying to help these individuals. Even we don't use the term internally retire. Or retirement, and the reason why is because in a lot of ways I feel that's kind of a loaded term. Retirement for my dad is very different than it's going to be for me and probably even my kids. So it's more about financial independence and what does that look like? Do I have to wait until I'm 65 to be able to access that, or maybe that means I want to?
And I also understand that investors, when we talk about guideline and human interest these companies and their private equity or venture capital, I get it. To get your foot in the door to Wall Street, which has been something that no one's had access to for decades, right? Yeah. It's dominated by the Fidelities and the Vanguards and these large Fortune 500 companies. So to walk into an investor and say, hey, I think we can disrupt this and I think we can get in there, maybe the long-term game does play out. There's plenty of Silicon Valley companies that are not profitable for years and years and years, and they're just building up their customer base. I mean, even you could take it on a simpler level, the freemium concept is a thing that's out there. Let's offer something of value, give it away, and build up our customer base, and we'll get to a point of strength or opportunity at some point where we can flip the switch and start to do something. So, yeah, I'm just trying to learn and open my brain a little more.
JD, I'll tell you, the growth you've had in this space over the years is just profound, man.
He just has
shit
out of
we used
body
to talk.
experience. That wasn't JD
I
talking.
said the amount of growth you've had in this area with these, disruptors is just
yes.
profound.
Thank you, Justin. I'm a kind soul. Okay, we are going to play one game before you go, and we're going to swap out for your
Halftime?
Your new
Halftime show?
halftime show. We're going to spin the wheel of ice, and I only have got one Smirnoff left. So if it lands on the mug, you're drinking.
You don't have to.
Okay, it's working.
Here we go. It lands on the mug. What? I'm drinking.
Oh, look at that.
You haven't really touched that beer.
It's a well-oiled machine.
All right, Dan. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
Thank you.
teaching us,
Yep,
man.
absolutely. Thanks, man.
Thank
See
you.
Okay.
All right, Robbie, grab your
Yeah.
Smirnoff. And Justin, why don't you
Tag
go
team.
ahead and intro
back again.
we'll have them come and sit down. And Justin, you tell us who is filling this center chair.
Well,
Sit on down, Ted. Right in the middle here.
All right.
I'm gonna switch it.
You might be getting cold there, JD.
Thank you,
So I brought
sir.
you guys some 401 Go socks.
Justin's already talking shit on those, so.
Yeah, let me just tell you, I probably just dropped my profitability down a little bit farther, but I think we can afford it for you guys.
I don't know. We
when
wear
are you guys gonna get
fits.
bombas?
Bombas.
Hey, at just over 1,000 per client, you can't afford bombas. All right, intro this guy, Justin.
Well, see your mic. We gotta check his mic. Hold on, guys.
Down here.
Oh,
Are we good?
right on. Can you hear me? Testing.
Doing a little mic check.
He's green.
Yeah,
Mic
he's good.
check.
Doctor?
Nice
He's
job,
green,
Robbie.
B.
Is this better?
Like that Smirnoff.
I mean, I
Jeez,
don't
Mark.
talk that much. You just want to use my mic?
Well, go ahead and intro him while they do the mic.
Okay, well, this little peckerhead showed up at the bar last night just wanting to headbutt people, and that's about all you need to know about him.
Roger that.
He wanted to headbutt me, and I was like, why do you want to headbutt? And
Do
he's
we
like,
get some explanation
and he
behind
goes,
that?
I play hockey. So I said, Justin plays hockey? And then I realized I have been headbutted once in my life.
By who?
Justin. So I thought I'd get the two of them together and see what happens.
Listen, you guys just got me so fired up and excited that, sometimes, physically act out.
Well,
we doing?
let me finish this.
Yeah.
The Chief Revenue Officer, 401 Go, Mr. Ted Hassie.
Clap, clap, clap.
Is Dan theoretically your boss? Or maybe not theoretically. Is he actually your boss? Because he bounced. I think he's worried about what you're about to say on here.
He just
He
left.
bounced. He had an important meeting that, I mean, not as important as you guys, but he had to go. Is this
It's-
like?
Get what you will.
Get after it.
All right.
We had
thank
bets.
Thank you for the socks,
over
though.
under of
Go
what
ahead.
you'd grab.
We got to get him closer.
Uh-oh, what do I need
Yeah,
to
I'll
do?
God damn it.
I'll get him. I'm
am I
gonna
doing?
pin. I'm gonna go in the
just-
center.
Yeah, we're good. We got him a course. Okay, Ted, check this out. There's a word on the street that you're a bit of a payroll integration and strategic partner all-star. Coming from a long career at Paychex, you were there for like 2 decades.
scaring me.
Then you had
Just to spread out.
a short stint. Wow, we're just
He's
technical
about to fall.
difficulties
There
up
he
here.
goes.
Then you
Now
had
we're
a
good.
short stint with human interests, which I find very interesting. And
How
apparently,
short is short stint?
4
4
years.
years?
I'm like, that's not short
not
in
short.
today's workforce.
and you were
It's a college degree.
instrumental in creating tons of payroll strategic partners for them and really kind of fueling a lot of their success. I saw some posts from you on LinkedIn of them going from like 10 million in recurring revenue to 100 million recurring revenue
that
while you were
4-year
there.
period, right?
So tell us a bit about why the leave from human interest and why 401 Go of all companies.
Yeah, I mean, my story probably goes back to Paychex. And, you know, as part of the Paychex group that sold 401k as a primary product. And I think Paychex doesn't get its due for bringing really small market 401k down market at volume.
You're right.
So, you know, and I was fortunate to start like their large market channel. And, you know, it's funny, if you go back 27 years ago, even our payroll reps, we had to, at Paychex, we had to convince to refer us, you know.
Like
and
your own people.
Yeah, our own people. And so, you know, you fast forward, I had 21 great years there. I had 4 years at Human Interest. I've only worked, this is my fourth professional company I've worked at since college.
You're not a hopper around.
No, so if anything, I don't want to replicate another 21 years possibly anywhere. But it was a great run at Human Interest. I came in at Human Interest was probably at about the same spot 401 goes at.
Okay.
And you know, one of the things that you kind of look at in a lot of the, I think the fintechs is, you know, they're really like these robo advisors, and then they kind of become record keepers.
Meaning
And-
their original goal was to manage money B338 and make the revenue that
I
way?
think they kind of look at it as like what's really difficult is the fees for the investments. It's really hard. So I think a lot of them think they're solving that whole.
Making it simple.
Yeah, and they're but through it's the robo advising. But you know, the problem with 401k is it's such a payroll driven product. So you know, a conversation I had was actually with a bunch of payroll companies. If you can imagine.
I love this guy already.
What?
I love you already.
Oh, thank you, and I love you. Kind sir.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, be gentle. This whole profitability thing's scary. You got me already worried. But you've heard of Intuit, right?
I have.
Yeah. Very micro pricing, high profit. So
Keep
the cool
driving
thing
people.
is, absolutely. Yeah. So anyway,
payroll driven.
so we, you know, like I grew up with the guys that founded Paylocity.
Okay.
So I went to a lot of the payroll companies after I left Paychex. So, hey, why don't you guys start your own 401k? Look at how well we did. And everyone's like, oh my God. They were like, that's scary. I'm
That
like,
is a funny point that we've never really talked about on this show. We always see it the other way. You would think a company like Paylocity, who's big and successful, would look at actual
Record
Come on,
keeping.
keep
that
trying.
one
Yeah.
and Paychex and be like, fuck, we should follow what they're doing, but none of them do really. Huh?
and I was really untalented at pitching that to a lot of payroll companies, so no one did that.
Yeah.
So you know, it was great. I cut my career in the Bay Area where during the .com days, so I saw a lot of those startups, a lot of the tech things.
Go Giants.
So I was go Cardinals actually. But,
Yeah.
God, Jack
You guys
really
are
wants
made in
to.
heaven.
that's right. God's
Oh,
team.
boy, here we
St.
go.
Louis Cardinals
Sorry.
and Blues. But
Hockey? That's right, I forgot. Headbutt guy, yeah.
headbutt guy. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, I lost my train of thought.
Payroll. You're just saying payroll's such a big part because of data,
Yeah, so,
right?
so you know, you start looking at it, it's just kind of scary to them all. I found Human Interest because you know they had gone through some struggles, and I wanted to work for a Bay Area company. I had always seen these fintechs, and you know, I came in and you know I asked them if they needed some help with the advisor channel. Like, we got that handled, and I'm like, well, I mean that's cool. I only did like $8 billion of assets in 4 years at Paychex doing the large market thing. So I'm like, I think I know advisors pretty well, but they're like, hey, can you help us with some payroll companies. They're like, can you help us get an integration with Paylocity? And I had sent in a note to the VC.
Yeah, you got to drink from your little
See
cup.
that?
I didn't get the ground rules.
That's yours.
You learn them
Ted,
as you
learn
go.
them quick.
buddy. You learn as you go.
Acronym. It's
The
really
proper
tasty.
term would be
Enjoy it.
venture capitalists.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, why don't you just go? I think we're looking at like some benefit brokers. They're looking at some different avenues, and I was like, why don't you just go and basically go to some other payroll companies and do the paychecks thing? Be like a retirement plan that can integrate with another platform, and like if you think about a payroll company, they're going to be running into paychecks and ADP clients all the time.
All the time.
It's just
There
a
you
reality.
go.
In fact,
That's
we
another
start
one.
looking at it.
You got to drink
Well,
for the.
Could I didn't say
Automatic
automatic
data
data?
processing.
No, I'm not going to do that. I refuse to, because that is actually in their logo. If
Nope.
I've seen the bylaws on this, if it's in the logo, I don't have to drink.
Nope,
You
that's
guys
not how
have
we
to drink
roll.
for trying to make me drink. You guys get penalties for trying to.
Is this happening right now?
I want
Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights right now. Shut it down. Close the laptop.
Justin, headphone.
See,
definitely
look at it, and you guys are drinking. There you go.
my
Well, we
Lord.
constantly will, but you got a penalty
They're
drink
gonna
for
light you up
automatic
in
data
the chat bar,
processing.
buddy. They're gonna light you up.
Automatic
I'm
data
not even a
processing.
shareholder of them. I'm
So,
not going to
hey,
promote
let
them
me
this
ask you
much.
about
Come
that.
on, baby.
I think that that's really cool and very interesting. But when that's your job, and you're gonna represent a company and go to a payroll vendor like Paylocity, it's not just a handshake and hey, let's do this deal. Like we could be your 401k provider, and they say yes, and maybe it even is a handshake and a sign of a contract or whatever. I'm guessing you have a couple goals. One is to be like their only partner, or at least the one that every new client they're bringing on, you want them to make sure that you're their partner for the 401k. And then what does that look like in terms of after the handshake? There's got to be a lot of work still to be done to like make this shit actually happen.
Actually build that integration with the sales
What does
team
that
so they
look
do.
like?
Yeah,
feel
I mean,
comfortable
first off,
referring
I
to
don't think
business.
any, I don't believe that any company should just be referring one 401k company. I think there's a huge fiduciary thing. I think you're also only as good as like your last deduction and your last investment. So there's just some realities that I think you need to have multiple partners. So all the partners that I signed over with my former company, I didn't expect to have an exclusive. First off, you think about it, as you grow, you're going to want those efficiencies. You can't really be a fintech and have efficiencies without these integrations. But remember, a fintech like 401go, like we're built to integrate. They've already integrated all of our systems. That's why it'll be profitable. You just got to get out of the paradigm of kind of the world that we were out of, or that we all kind of came out of, which is a little bit, I wouldn't say like, it's just not as tech forward possibly.
It's antiquated.
Yeah, so, when you start looking at it, the conversation's just like, what do you do when you go against like a Paychex or ADP? They have, let me finish my
Finish
thought
your thought.
before I
You
keep
can.
going.
You definitely
Please,
can
please,
finish
please.
your thought.
But I mean, if you look at how much of the micro market they really handle, if you run into a client, let's say I'm Coastal Payroll, I run into a Paychex
Yes,
or
we're
ADP
familiar
client.
with them.
Yep. 25 employees. It has a 401k. It's probably going to be most likely 80% of the time with Paychex or with ADP.
I'll help
Keep
you out
going,
here,
guys,
buddy.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Finish your
thank
thought.
you. So, they need to find a way to solve for it. So one of the issues like a lot of the payroll companies have is that, they take a client, they still have a termination fee, and they basically have taken a client, they've lost all their integration, they then are doing it manually, it's very expensive, and payroll companies didn't solve for that issue, right? It's like a payroll rep just trying to get that sale and run off. So really, what I think 401go and some of the other fintechs are able to do is provide that, inexpensive 401k that Paychex and ADP I think really made famous. Go ahead, and then really
Yeah, you
provide
take
that
this one,
service.
man.
And even Paychex and ADP
God damn it.
have not been able
Jesus
to.
Christ, I'll drink for that one.
Thank you. I'm just gonna keep going until you guys have to.
We're getting played right now.
Yeah, we are
dude.
just
Ted,
about to
but
say
Ted,
that.
No.
Yes.
I sat in my conference room
With
20,
ADP.
20 years ago and had that same pitch to me as a third-party administrator, basically saying, who's your competition? Paychecks and automatic data, whatever.
Who cares?
Right? And they were saying to me and to my industry, I would say, hey, let's start to get record keepers and payroll providers together so we can combat against these two behemoths.
Sure.
And people talked about it. We had meetings about it. We even went on joint meetings together.
And we
but
failed.
it never came to fruition. So I'm just trying to figure out like how all of a sudden y'all are cracking the code with it and our whole industry missed the boat. Like,
it's I think sometimes being the right place at the right time. But I have this kind of weird background where I've done a lot of 401k and I've done a lot of payroll. And if you look at how many companies, first off, I don't think 20 years ago it was necessarily thought of as, tech wasn't ready, and I don't think it was thought of even as like them being truly leaders in number of plans. They were still growing. Now it's, my last quota, at Paychex was like 14,000 401ks.
Everyone knows, we talked about in this show a lot. They were 1 and 2 for new plans sold for years
Year
and
after
years
year
and
after
years and
year.
years. So
Yeah, it really brought it down. But I think, so I have a lot of relationships with a lot of these payroll companies. I grew up with a lot of them. A lot of them came out of automatic data processing or Paychex.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He learns.
Chad, let me I want to jump to your pessimism here. Voya is a big company, and Power is a big company. They have payroll partners that they integrate with and have 360, functions.
Yeah.
So why the fuck is Guideline beating them at this?
It seems very clear to me, the answer to that question, which is, and I think this is what you were trying to get Ted to say, in the past, we're trying to ask the salespeople to talk about 401k at a payroll company. Hey, you're with Paylocity, talk about 401k and refer the business over.
Ted, I want you to see if Chad's right, so pay attention to what he's saying.
And so what I think you all have done, and I'll say you all at 401go and in prior relationships at your prior company, is that you've looked at it and said, we're not going to rely on the salespeople to talk about 401k. We're going to blend this right into their process of onboarding a payroll client. And it will be asked, and it will be addressed, and it will be talked about, not necessarily by the salesperson, but by the process of onboarding.
You're saying when a new client onboards a Paylocity, somewhere
Paylocity is not a good example because they're not doing it.
No, it's not. It's not, because their whole goal is to have an open platform so that if you want to, so if you think of Paychex as a closed environment, which, ADP's marketplace, they're an open environment.
I'll drink for that one.
Yeah, please drink to that.
What?
JD, you guys keep setting me up with this ADP stuff. So,
He's good and he's terrible
This
at
is like Ross year 2 all over again.
Hey, it took me like 25 years to get on this. You expect me to be this good on the first one? I've just been like, please put me on.
What's
Yeah, try it.
Take
One
one.
Take a sip. You won't die.
That's
You'll
a
be fine.
Chicago delicacy. It's Malort. Oh, God, don't go anymore.
Okay.
It gets worse. It really does. You're scary.
Okay, but let's get back. Let's get back to the map.
Let me rephrase a little bit.
And
the
how is
actual
your
question.
statement true if they don't all have exclusives?
I don't think you need exclusives, although the ones we've talked about have kind of had exclusives. But what you need is
I
it
can't
for it to be
focus right now.
It needs to be
Guideline.
part of the process.
Why not?
I just don't focus ever.
Oh, gotcha. Well, that's good then.
Right, the past, correct me if I'm wrong, the past and the Paylocity world is to say, if you're a 401k provider, we want that sales agent at Paylocity to talk about 401k, and then me at Voya or anywhere else that integrates is going to say, we want the opportunity to then come in and talk to them about setting up a 401k.
So I don't know if Paylocity, first off, they are
Don't use
open.
that. Use
and
another
have-
example then. Don't use them.
So what I'd say is down market. And so let's talk about like a coastal payroll. You look
Okay.
at all
Sure.
the iSolves. There are 2,000 payroll companies out in America, and I probably met with 800 of them in the last 4 years. A lot of them are underserved. Advisors don't want their clients. Then you have the state mandates that are coming out. So like
Yes.
they're forced to do something. And boy, if you're a payroll company, you know what you don't want is a client on the state mandate, because those are great integrations. Oh, and by the way, what if you have to have someone, you have 5 employees now in New York, 10 in California, you have like 3 or 4 different state plans. So I think there's this huge
do a fucking
convergence
401k.
where actually now other payroll companies are thinking like, oh my God, what do I do? The other thing is they have to solve if they're taking someone from another payroll company that offers their own 401k. So what I would say is Paylocity, they're great partners with a lot of different advisors. They're a great partner with a lot of different platforms. However, if you're going to work with them, they have field reps, and whoever can go and do combat with their field reps,
Hand to
and they
hand.
have an opportunity.
That is my point.
You know, and where they probably want to bring in someone is like when they're going to go against a competitor that has an incumbent 401k with that other
But
payroll
hand-to-hand combat
Is
will
not
not
how
be
they
your
got big.
goal for the next 5 years.
No, but
not really,
but
right?
because you know what's great, what was bad about COVID is we had to use Zoom. What was great about COVID is we had Zoom. I used to it was like get an appointment, and my old boss Rakesh and I'd be like, we're getting on the next plane.
Yeah, right.
Literally at to start our relationships. Suddenly, I could do a whole relationship and have a signed partner agreement just doing a Zoom like this.
Right, sure.
So you know, it starts becoming scalable. So what you'll see at like 401 Go, you know, people already understand, and I think small business owners are sick of like a tribe of people coming in to sell them a small business product. So it's actually a great time. Like everyone understands insurance, everyone gets the concept they should have a retirement plan. What they want is somebody who can make it easy. Simple, and you know,
Low
and then we
cost.
can give them low
Easy,
cost.
simple, low cost.
I still don't feel like it's been answered. So let me rephrase a little bit.
How much time do
Just
we
a
have left?
position. If you're trying to get a certified public accountant, and they're doing tax filings, and you want them to refer all their business to you, you can't rely on the person doing the tax filing to talk to the client about their 401k. What you need to do is have them, in their process of collecting information, ask the question, and as soon as the client says, yes, I have a 401k while you're doing the tax filing for that business, the next question is, did you know we have an integrated relationship with 401 Go, and you should spend some time looking at our solution. It has to be built into the process to have the success that Human Interest and these other groups have had.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. It is no longer hand-to-hand combat when it comes to payroll relationships, in my
I don't
opinion.
know, Chad.
It's got to be
Remember
integrated.
the exclusivity there, though. What if they have relationships with 5 401k?
I'm not denying that, but the goal would be to have that integration, which was JD was trying to get you to answer, is when you got in that relationship and you had that handshake, it wasn't just a, okay, I'll see you later. Sales folks, make sure you talk about us at Human Interest. It was, no, we're going to build this directly into your process so that every time it's asked, the question is asked and conversation sparks from it.
Yeah, I think
The sales guys aren't going to ask.
Yeah, well, I think part of that is they're being forced to ask, and you know, you start looking at it. I think I agree with you. They have to ask, but I think it's not even just in their process. It just starts coming up. You have a lot of trusted business advisors. That accountant's going to be like, "Hey, Ted, I heard something about this like Cal Savers. What do I do?" Like, "Oh, here, call 401 Go."
I'm also guessing your goal is higher level too, to make real big numbers and make it scalable. You just have to convince that payroll company that it will be in the best interest of them long term and short term to have a 401k solution. It'll make their clients stickier. They can keep them longer. They can compete better against the big one. And so if the company believes in that as one of their main, virtues, then they're going to push it and do it. And I'm imagining you need to convince them of that and continue to convince them of that.
Well, I think that's what we, did at my former place. And,
Right.
you look at, I think 401 Go, one of the things we really want to do is be able to introduce kind of like an ecosystem of the financial advisor with those local payroll people. So if you're like a Mass Payout, Massachusetts, they have some local advisors that we work with that can refer them. Everyone's building these local networks. So the secret to this is how do you build, just like what you guys do, build these local referral networks. And because we're so advisor friendly and we're really advisor
Which
first.
I love.
So, and then I think it's like we can have a relationship with you guys. There's some things that you guys, let's say, will do a lot differently than us. You might even want to look at our platform. The cool thing about 401 Go is, let's say it's a large record keeper that's up market, an insurance company. They don't have a good solution down market. I can instantly give them a product right now and just have like Joe's insurance company powered by Go. So, there's a lot of cool things within our
label.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to keep our eyes wide open for a lot of this stuff. More and more, I don't believe this to be true, but more and more I think it's possible that there could be a death to the legacy record keeper at some point. If you guys can continue to innovate and create new things, and they're kind of, as Aaron Schoom puts it, they're the big ocean liner that can't kind of change direction, which...
Or the legacy just buys this.
Well, that is kind of interesting too. We do always have that question. I asked it, but maybe that's what you're saying, it hasn't been answered, is that I always ask, like, well, why wouldn't those big, deep-pocketed people just do what y'all are doing?
Because the investment and the time. So, what
They don't want to get off their current platforms.
They don't even, those tech people are not tech people. I've worked like they're just not like tech forward. So
And you're right, unwinding it would be a nightmare.
the difference with I think Dan, who was just on, our CEO, and Nate Beck. What is yes?
Chief Executive Officer.
So the CEO of 401go.
Jesus,
you
I'll
guys
do
got
it.
to
I'll
drink
do
now.
it for you.
Yeah,
No,
thank you.
you're supposed to
No,
drink
no.
every
Not the
time you
rule.
say it.
I did not sign in my waiver.
Keep going.
In my waiver, it said I could
You
use.
signed-
Keep
you
going.
didn't sign a waiver.
Good point. Writer. Sorry, writer, not waiver. My writer says that I also wanted my jelly beans, so I'm a little upset.
I do understand that unwinding off of their legacy systems, that makes no sense.
Here's the thing, Dan. I know you guys hit on profitability quite a bit. One of the things that's really unique is Dan put his own money in, and for like basically 2 years, he bankrolled his brother and another engineer to just figure
develop
this
it.
out and do it from scratch. Like, so
Did
it's
it take him about 2
I'd say
years?
we're not really VC backed, is what I would say. Venture capital backed, because I think that's a misnomer. This whole thing was really funded as like a small business.
Yeah.
If this stayed a small business and just grew, and I've told Dan that,
That'd be
this is a viable thing. Like, I don't have to go add, 20 wholesalers tomorrow as soon as we get funding. I'd like to, but there's a lot of ways. It's profitable enough to just
The
keep
fact
running.
that you guys did 2,000 in a short period of time is impressive. And you know me, I'm the little business guy. I would love the idea of just a smaller, grown from the ground on its own. But I also understand,
They have like 2 401k people there. Like what we would think is traditional. They don't have they did it through like a good product. Dan and the founders being very honest and just trying to help them. They had their last company was the first company to use 401go. So I really think we're getting like typecast as venture capital back. We're going to go get venture capital
get some more
backing.
money.
But
You're not-
even if you
yeah,
look
you
at
don't
it,
have
level that everyone
200
else
million
has.
of
Yeah.
money invested.
we don't want to have
Yeah.
200 million because
Neither would
otherwise
I.
there's dilution, and like Ted would like to eventually not continue to work. I've worked pretty hard, so I think this is it's all about the technology though.
Well, God bless you, dude. I hope it works. I still at this point, to go back to the profitability, you heard my numbers where I said you're at 2,000 and you're not fucking profitable and you employed too many people. That's okay. That's an investment for the future. But if you can grow that to 10,000, based on what you're doing right now, based on what I know, and based on letting you have a little magical box of technology that works and is scalable, you're still not fucking profitable. So then you got to get to 20,000 or something, or 30,000, and at that point you might like eke a profit, but so the fuck what? It's not enough money. Like, I just don't think you're charging enough for what you're doing. Bottom line, period. But that's,
You know what? Maybe this is the best time to be signing up for 401go.
well, I won't go negative
Increases
there.
are coming.
I won't go negative there.
I think there's you can be so low that you almost look cheap instead of inexpensive. I think we can be very inexpensive. And the other one is, like, I can send you our investor deck if you'd like to see it. Like, there's a path to profitability. Venture capitalists aren't actually fools.
There's not a path to profitability at $1,200 per client.
Really? Have you looked
Unless
at,
there's
I don't-
another level of servicing that's going to come out of it.
Take a look though at Intuit. Like, I'm a shareholder of Intuit. Like, they are these micro QuickBooks. Like, look at that thing. You know how
Why
many
the
people?
fuck do you guys have 50 employees right now?
I don't think I would get so wrapped up in like whether or not we have 50 or 5 employees. Because the one thing is, like, if you start looking at how much scale.
You know what I love about this is fine. What I love about this is, and this is why I'm not in your world, which is fine. I'm admitting my own deficiencies here. Is, to me, there's certain logical physics. Like, you drop an apple and it falls and hits the
Well,
ground.
here's the deal,
And when
you
you
have to
run
make
a
an
business,
investment.
when you run a business, your overhead has to be a certain amount. You employ a certain amount of people to do a certain amount of revenue to provide a certain amount of quality service to your clients, and all those things have to kind of mesh together like pieces on a puzzle. And when the math doesn't add up and 1 + 1 = fucking 6, you can't sit there and tell me that it's okay. Because
Catch me
unless
outside. How about
you
that?
go long term on me and start to cloud my
Well,
brain
that's
with
how you look
stuff.
at it. You look at a retention rate, lifetime value of a client. You also know that if you have a client and they're with a payroll company, it's going to. I mean, it's the most profitable product that probably one of the other publicly traded payroll companies has, is a client that has 401k and payroll. It stays forever. I think you start looking at
Payroll's making money, but the
401k is the most profitable product at one of those 2 big companies we keep referring to.
they're not charging $1,000.
Well, I understand that, but it's still there. And by the way, there's a lot less manual work with us. I wouldn't get so wrapped up. We'll see on what happens. The
the
future
other
will
thing
hold. The future will hold. But
I'm
I
going
would
to tell
say,
my bankers that
if I
don't
sat
get so
here-
wrapped up. I know my accounts are
well, if
negative,
I
but
sat
don't get so
here
wrapped up in that.
4.5 years ago, or 4 years ago, and I said, here's what we're going to do at Human Interest.
Yeah.
And then 649 signed payroll partnerships later and over 200 integrations, and it's $115 million. You know, you would have said, like, that's not even going to happen.
I'm going to jump on your bandwagon there, but I'm not going to use that example because, no offense, Human Interest, but I think they're a little over their skis. And I don't like their business model right now from the financial metrics either. Guideline proved me fucking wrong, okay? Guideline proved me wrong. Human Interest, the amount of money they're spending, the amount of people they have, the new offices they're opening, and the money they owe back to their investors, that to me is not, they have not cracked the code on success yet. You can call it a valuation and claim that you're all gonna get some kind of money. That doesn't mean that that's actually happened. That's invisible shit.
And I'm sure out of everyone here, I'm probably the most invested in wanting them to do well.
Sorry,
after 4
buddy.
years.
I'm not
No,
trying
it's, I mean, listen.
Yeah,
it's-
stop. I'm being a total
listen,
asshole
I mean,
now.
no, I totally agree. It's, you don't know. I mean, there's a lot of risk in this. There's risk from you going to 401 Go. I just see the platform, and I love this industry. Like, I really love trying to help people save for retirement. I'm not in this for like a big valuation. I'm not in this for really anything more than like making sure that Americans have the opportunity to save for retirement. You know, my kids, you know, benefit from my mom's 401k after she passed away with the RMDs. Like, my mom worked for a
Required minimum distribution. I'll drink
you
for you
drink
since
to
I
it.
was
But I mean,
attacking
my
you.
mom, June Hassie, was a accounting clerk, made no more than $21,000 a year. And you know, that insurance company she worked for never gave her really a raise, which always made me angry, but they did give her a 401k plan. And when she passed away, she's like, Teddy, I wish I had more money to leave. And she was really sad. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're leaving life, leaving some money to your kids. You supported yourself, so we didn't have to, you know, we weren't in a spot where we had to, you know, basically take care of you. And I think everyone wants to be self-reliant, right? And she ended up passing away with still $200,000. I mean, this little accounting clerk, St. Louis, Missouri. God bless St. Louis Blues and Cardinals, God's teams. But you know,
Well,
like, I
let
really
me
love
also
this.
praise you and 401 Go and even your old employer. What they aren't doing in a good way is they did go down market. So they
Coverage
weren't
gap.
kidding. They helped small companies start up new plans. They actually did a dent on the coverage gap and continue to do a dent on the coverage gap. And they need to be applauded
And
for that.
Paychecks did. You just remember the amount of times.
I like that you said that earlier, yeah.
Thank you. I remember when, because I got to work for the founders of Paychecks, which is super, I mean, great. Tom Golisano and Gene Policini. I remember they're talking about coming out of, like, it was like Morgan Stanley or someone, and they pitched this idea of having a small market 401k plan. And they're like, can't be done. And, you know, literally my boss at the time, Tony Tortorella, and Gene Policini, basically on their way down, he's like,
Those are some straight Italian names.
it is Rochester. So they were, they literally like, so we're going to do it, right? Because they were basically like, never will happen. You can't do it. And you know what? That was the birth of 401k, is someone saying they couldn't do it. You guys remember, I mean, a little younger than me, maybe you guys remember back to 2000, but do you remember Webvan? You guys remember that?
No.
It was a service out of the Bay Area during the .com days that was a van that you could buy online groceries,
yeah.
and it would deliver it to your
You know
door.
what kaput, right?
Yeah,
Quickly.
They put in like 500 million, nothing
By the
like
way,
that.
we've always been taught if a van's giving things out, do not trust them. So that was a bad business model from the start.
Good point. However,
Put it in a Camaro.
you fast forward like 15, you get a little Silence of the Lambs there. Yeah. It rubs the lotion. Yeah, you don't go to the van. However, now we have vans dropping off crap every day. It's called Amazon, right? It's just before its time. So I think like this whole industry is just like kind of, some things have been before its time. I think technology, and there are very few, I think, technology companies that are saying they're fintechs. I just spent time, because I left on great terms with my former employer. I met with every fintech. I really wanted to see like what was out there in the industry, and I chose 401 Go over everyone else because they're kind of not last to the market, but they came out just late enough, so it's like it's like a Prius from like the other guys.
Yeah,
You remember
I hear
that
you.
movie?
I hear you.
And like this is like a Model Y Tesla that I have.
Yeah.
Like this shit works. And so what I think you have is the opportunity for 401go to really take it to the next
They
level.
also probably give you like the biggest offer too, like that. had to
No,
do
this was not the biggest offer. This was not
Out
the
of
biggest
zero,
offer.
you're like, oh, sold.
I had 3 offers and I chose
Hey.
401go.
Well, I just want to be clear. I've said many things on this show that turned out to be inaccurate and not true. So
Every show.
I could have this totally wrong. That we'll still continue to see how this plays out with these disruptors, and we wish 401go the best of luck. We do. And human interest too, man. I've been
we need
showing
it
up
for
with
the
those
industry.
guys.
I think we need it
Fair
for the
enough.
industry. I think
You're
we
right.
need everyone to be successful.
Right.
There's so much opportunity out there. You know, if everyone, like, we don't need one to go down in scandal. We don't need one to go. We don't need anyone to go down because like they have the valuations. We need everyone to do well.
But can I
frankly.
be a little bit negative here? I apologize. What's not good is that
We're
if
gonna end it on a positive
If,
note. Why are you
but
going
no,
this
I have to
route?
say
Oh,
this for
okay.
everyone listen. What's not good is that if you put out a product that's not profitable, and
It's
I'm not
not
just picking
priced
on
for
you,
for
therefore
what it's bringing to the
priced
market.
low. What you're doing is you're setting up this industry to push their prices
Diminishing
down.
the value
And
of
your
what we're all
price
doing.
isn't even profitable yet. So if that company, and I'm saying this is 401go or human interest or whatever, but if that company then goes under because the business model was wrong, because they chose a van instead of a Camaro, or they chose too low a fees to actually float the boat, they didn't do a good thing. They did a bad thing for the industry as a whole, because you're squeezing everyone and then making it hurt all across, all these sponsor tables, all these things that, by the way, you say there was not small plan solutions. My company is approaching 50 years in business.
Attaboy.
We've been doing
Put her there.
small business
that
401k
was
for
weird.
5 fucking decades, dude. This isn't new shit. We've been helping small companies start up 401k plans forever.
But we have 4.5 million small businesses that aren't serviced by you for 50
Well,
years.
this is
so
a whole
we have
other
to,
debate. This is a whole other debate. Some of those
I get to come back.
companies.
Do I get to come back?
Sure.
On the
Some of
show?
those
Only if you start
companies,
drinking.
I hate to say this, I know it's controversial, some of those companies just don't need a 401k. They're not big enough for it. They don't
Hey,
have
we have
the
a solo
revenue
key.
for
That's
it.
great for them.
Maybe
And an
not.
IRA.
We're gonna play a game. We're gonna play the totally
Oh.
original Nope or Dope game. It's gonna take like 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
You ready, Ted?
What are we doing?
Graphics happening right now. This is really cool graphics sound.
JD's gonna ask you some questions.
Oh, my God.
These are fun.
Can you wait? It's gonna work. Hang on, it's almost done. I'll get a cue. Okay. Best game ever. I'm gonna ask you a question. You're gonna let me know thumbs up or thumbs down. Are you dope with it, or are you nope on it, and then tell me why. Today, we're gonna do one question and one question only.
Oh,
And it's a controversial one.
oh boy.
Are you dope or nope on seahorses?
Oh, shit. Jeez.
I have another question about these seahorses.
I'm dope.
You're dope.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what they have to do out there in the wilderness, in the wild, I think with global warming, the little plankton that are swimming around, those little guys, those little seahorses, those little motherfuckers are just going.
Yes.
And I'm just so proud of them.
Plankton, that was
And they
I
don't.
am so
they-
proud of them.
Even though they're a horse, they don't have like legs, so they're
Yeah,
not
I mean, you see
trotting
them
along,
going up
But
the
they
current
don't
too.
even really have. They're just kind of.
spiral tail. What the fuck is that all about? Can you
Balance.
bring
Well,
it
I'm
out?
not like the evolutionary scientist here, but I mean, like, I'm just proud of them, right?
You're
I mean, look,
right.
and they went from the sea, and now like they're big horses. You got like Mustangs, you got quarter horses, you got Kentucky Derby.
Not
Look at
seahorses.
how they have
They
developed.
came out of the water.
Man, I tell you what, I'm so proud of those guys.
Wow.
Those guys are so great.
Cheers to that.
great.
I think we need to.
I'm so proud of them.
We don't need to ask
right.
any of us anymore.
It's been fun. Thank you for being on our
Thanks
show.
for having me, guys.
Thank you to Wealth at Work, Up Your Rider Game, and thanks to all you for tuning in. We
Thank
love
you
you.
to the what? To the sea.
We love you and appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you to the
And thank you to
seahorses for
Seahorses.
hats off.
God's sea animals.
We are the Retireholics, changing the retirement planning industry one beer at a time.